is the level of frustration at the NSC about Secretary Austin not informing the White House until later about his hospitalization, and will there be any consequences for that?
I think, look, our main focus right now is on Secretary Austin's health and making sure that he gets all the care and support that he needs to fully recover. That's the focus. He has already resumed all his authorities. He's already doing all of the functions he would normally do. He's doing it right now from the hospital. We'll obviously, I think, as you might expect, we'll take a look at process and procedure here and try to learn from this experience. And if there's some changes that need to be made in terms of process and procedure, we'll do that.
There are some calls for him to be fired. Is that something that the president is wanting or considering doing?
The president's #1 focus is on his health and recovery, and he looks forward to having him back at the Pentagon as soon as possible. The president respects the fact that Secretary Austin took ownership for the lack of transparency. He also respects the amazing job he's done as Defense Secretary and how he's handled multiple crises over the last almost 3 years now, and very much values his advice, candor, leadership, and again looks forward to having him back at the Pentagon soon.
Does the president know what elective surgery the secretary had, even though the American people don't know? And does he know what his current symptoms are and his current health condition is?
I know that the president had an opportunity to talk to Secretary Austin a couple of days ago, wish him well, get that conversation, and I don't know the level of the president's personal knowledge of his medical situation, and that would really be between the two men. Your question about that elective procedure is really better directed to the Pentagon, not to us. I want to make sure I put a fork in my answer to you. There is no plans for anything other than for Secretary Austin to stay in the job and continuing the leadership that he's been demonstrating.
John, given the delay in disclosing this, did Secretary Austin meet the president's own standard of transparency? And is the White House committed, if President Biden had to have some kind of medical procedure, is the White House committed to releasing that information to the public in a very timely manner?
Well, on the second question, and you're a little out of my lane, that's really, but I don't want to speak for Kareem, but I think the answer is yes. I mean, the answer is absolutely yes. So we'll be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the president has always put transparency at the center of his administration from the beginning, and obviously that's what we're going to continue to do. So we're going to continue to be transparent. Obviously, the Department of Defense will have more to speak to about their protocol. I just don't have anything to add specifically on that piece.
Do you think you were transparent here, though? I mean, it took days for people to be informed about this, and at a time of conflict around the world.
I'm sorry. The Pentagon has talked about this. The Secretary put out a statement, took accountability for the lack of transparency. We'll let the Pentagon speak to the process there.
John, quickly, you mentioned you guys are taking a look at process. Does the president want an official review into what happened and him not, communication not coming up through the White House?
As I said to Jeff, I fully expect that we'll take a look at process and procedure here. We'll do what's akin to a hot wash and try to see if processes and procedures need to be changed at all or modified so that we can learn from this.
Go ahead.
Does the White House have an official view on the duty of the cabinet secretaries and when they need to disclose this type of medical procedure or hospitalizations?
Look, I think there's an expectation that when a cabinet official becomes hospitalized, that that will be notified up the chain of command. There is that expectation.
Can you say, was there any contact between Jake Sullivan and the Defense Secretary in those 4 days, January 1st to January 4th? Any contact at all?
On the morning of the 1st of January, the Secretary, as well as Secretary Blinken, Jake, other relevant officials, did have a secure conference call with the president. This was regarding operations in the Middle East, and so there was contact and that on the 1st of January.
John, you said at the beginning of your your remarks that the most important thing right now is the Secretary's health. How is his health?
That's really for Secretary Austin and the Pentagon to speak to, Jeff. That would be inappropriate for me to get into his personal health condition. He did indicate that he's recovering well in his own statement, and that he expects to be back at the Pentagon in relatively near future.
John, the Situation Room knows how to get in touch with all senior cabinet officials at all times. Did they know his physical? The Situation Room itself know his location? There's a board in the Situation Room that shows where the president is at all times, the vice president is at all times. I mean, did the Situation Room know where he was physically?
There's a process for the Situation Room, the Ops Center, to check in every morning to get the general location of all the non-White House principals, cabinet officers. And there is a process of connection to the agencies to do that. But it's generic, Peter. It's what town they're in, D.C., if they're overseas, where they are. That's the process. The issue of when a cabinet official gets hospitalized, that's really on the agency to inform that has happened.
So it wasn't the Situation Room knew and didn't put it up the chain itself.
That's correct. Okay. There was no. You all seen the press reporting on this. There was no notification or knowledge at the White House or the National Security Council until Thursday afternoon.